Welcome to this video on governing AI at enterprise scale. We will explore a comprehensive framework for navigating artificial intelligence and machine learning risks across 5 critical domains built for senior leaders. This program is brought to you by the Series of Thoughts team as part of the AI Foundation series. AI is now deeply embedded in how enterprises operate, making AI governance an urgent priority. Ungoverned AI amplifies risk across every business function, demanding robust, cross-functional frameworks. This video will cover 5 critical risk domains: data integrity, model performance, operational and security, regulatory and compliance, and organizational and cultural. The 5 critical domains operate in an interconnected risk landscape. A failure in one domain amplifies vulnerabilities across all others. Therefore, effective AI governance requires coordinated, enterprise-wide mitigation efforts. Our agenda covers these 5 key risk domains. We will start with data integrity risks, moving to model performance risks, operational and security risks, regulatory and compliance risks, and finally, organizational and cultural risks. Domain 01, data integrity risks. The quality of your AI is inseparable from the quality of your data. Poor data foundations produce confident wrong models at enterprise scale, which leaders must address immediately. The 4 pillars of data risk are data quality, data lineage, bias and representation, and privacy violations. Each pillar introduces significant risks, from model defects and non-compliance to reputational harm and irreversible erosion of trust. For data risk, executive priorities include mandating enterprise-wide data quality standards, investing in automated data lineage tools, commissioning bias audits, and establishing a data privacy governance committee with executive sponsorship. Data governance is a board-level risk obligation. Domain 02, model performance risks. Even well-trained models degrade, discriminate, and fail silently. Model risk extends far beyond initial deployment, making it an ongoing operational responsibility. Key risk vectors when models fail include fairness and discrimination, explainability deficit, model drift, and generalization failures. Addressing these vectors is crucial for managing model risk. Model risk governance is a continuous life cycle, not a one-time gate. It involves continuous validation, monitoring, auditing, and retiring of models to ensure risk is managed across the full operational lifespan. Leaders must demand model cards and documentation, continuous monitoring infrastructure, and human-in-the-loop checkpoints. Model risk is a cross-functional obligation shared by legal, compliance, operations, and the C-suite. Domain 03, operational and security risks. AI systems introduce a new attack surface, from adversarial inputs to shadow deployments. This demands enterprise-grade defense strategies, purpose-built for machine learning environments. The AI security threat landscape includes adversarial attacks, unauthorized access to valuable intellectual property, shadow AI, and infrastructure vulnerabilities from third-party dependencies. Combating shadow AI is a strategic priority. The executive response framework includes establishing an AI tool registry, creating fast-track approval pathways, deploying data loss prevention controls, and fostering a culture where governed AI is easier than ungoverned AI. The Operational Security Executive Action Plan covers securing MLOP's pipelines with zero-trust principles, mandating adversarial testing for high-stakes systems, and publishing and enforcing a comprehensive AI acceptable use policy. Domain 04, regulatory and compliance risks. The AI regulatory environment is accelerating rapidly. What was best practice 2 years ago is now mandatory compliance, meaning organizations waiting for final rules will perpetually be behind. The regulatory landscape is evolving, starting with GDPR in 2018, followed by CCPA in 2020, and the EU AI Act in 2024. These frameworks are converging, requiring enterprises to prepare for multi-jurisdictional AI compliance obligations simultaneously by 2025 and beyond. The EU AI Act specifically targets high-risk AI categories, such as hiring, healthcare, and law enforcement. Compliance requires implementing comprehensive risk management systems, maintaining documentation, and registering systems. Non-compliance can result in significant fines. Documentation is a critical governance asset. This includes model documentation detailing intended use and limitations, decision audit trails to reconstruct reasoning, data processing records for GDPR compliance, and incident response logs to inform governance improvement. Regulatory readiness is a strategic, enterprise-wide capability. Leaders must appoint an AI compliance officer with cross-functional authority and proactively engage regulators through participation in sandboxes to help shape new frameworks. Domain 05, organizational and cultural risks. Technology and process are necessary, but insufficient for effective AI governance. The most sophisticated framework will fail without the right organizational culture, leadership alignment, and human capabilities to sustain it. Human dimensions of AI risk include literacy gaps, leading to unmonitored risks, and trust deficits, where uncritical adoption or blanket rejection leads to issues. Furthermore, resistance to change undermines governance through disengagement. Building AI literacy is a critical risk control mechanism, extending beyond technical teams. Literacy tiers range from the board and C-suite, focused on strategic risk, to all employees who require foundational AI awareness and responsible use principles. Fostering ethical AI decision-making involves defining organizational values, embedding ethical review checkpoints into governance, enabling safe escalation channels for concerns, and measuring ethics-related incidents for continuous improvement. Managing change requires building psychological safety to surface risks, communicating transparently to reduce fear, developing AI champions across the organization, and recognizing teams that demonstrate responsible innovation. Siloed risk management is the greatest failure in enterprise AI. These 5 domains are structurally interdependent. Organizations that recognize this interconnected nature will build governance frameworks that are genuinely resilient. This visualization illustrates how a single upstream data quality failure can cascade into model discrimination, trigger regulatory enforcement, and erode organizational trust. Governance must be designed with these cascade pathways explicitly in mind. Siloed governance fails because no one owns the interactions between domains, leading to consequential AI failures at organizational seams. A cross-functional AI governance committee, comprised of key executives, is non-negotiable for holistic oversight. Prioritizing governance investments requires assessing both the impact and likelihood of risks across domains. High-probability, high-impact risks demand immediate structural intervention, rather than monitoring alone. A resilient AI governance framework is built on 4 pillars: foundational data and infrastructure standards, domain-specific risk controls, a cross-functional governance structure, and, finally, anchored by visible executive accountability and ownership. Understanding AI risks is the first step toward governance maturity. Building the organizational capability to govern them systematically is the strategic imperative. This path requires deliberate investment, sustained leadership, and measurable milestones. The AI governance maturity model outlines 4 levels. Level 1 is aware, with identified risks but ad hoc controls. Level 2 is defined, with documented policies and assigned ownership. Level 3, managed, has active cross-functional governance and monitoring. Finally, Level 4 is optimized, with a culture of continuous improvement and governance as a competitive differentiator. Priority actions are grouped by time horizon. Immediate actions, 0 to 90 days, include conducting an AI risk inventory and establishing an AI governance committee. Near term, 90 to 180 days, focus on deploying model monitoring and launching AI literacy programs. Strategic actions, 180 plus days, involve achieving EU AI Act compliance readiness and publishing an AI transparency report. Measuring effectiveness is crucial. What gets measured gets governed. Key performance indicators, or KPIs, include data quality score, model drift alerts, compliance coverage, and literacy completion. Governance metrics should be reported to the board at least quarterly, with an independent annual review. Organizations that lead in the AI era deploy it most responsibly. This commitment is based on 3 core principles: trustworthy, transparent, and resilient AI systems. These principles earn and sustain the trust of every stakeholder. Executive leaders must remember the core imperative: govern AI with the same rigor, visibility, and accountability applied to your most critical enterprise risks. This is essential for long-term success. 4 critical takeaways for leaders. Governance is a leadership function, not a technical one. All 5 risk domains are interconnected. Regulation is accelerating, so act ahead of it. Finally, culture determines the durability of governance. The path to governance maturity is achievable. The question is not whether to act, but how quickly and deliberately your organization will build the capabilities required to lead with trustworthy AI. Lead your organization toward responsible AI. Your action plan should include assessing your risk landscape, prioritizing strategic actions based on risk, and building foundational capabilities like infrastructure and literacy programs. Also, engage for tailored guidance to accelerate your governance journey. We can assist with AI governance workshops, enterprise risk assessments, and leadership briefings to build fluency at the top. We also offer ongoing advisory to sustain governance as your AI program matures over time. Organizations that invest in AI governance today are building the trust, resilience, and institutional capability that will define competitive advantage. Lead with intention, govern with rigor, and compete with confidence.